What's good, y'all? You know it's the host with the most energy, back again with How I Run Business series with another episode. Stay tuned with who I have next. What's good, y'all? You know it's the host with the most energy, back again with another episode on How I Run Business. I'm here today with Eric Bailey. I need y'all to give him a round of applause. It's an honor for you to be here with me today. It's an honor for you to be here with me today. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm happy to be alive.
Yeah, yes. Right, thank you. So for those that know Eric, most of y'all know that he's a host, he's a comedian, he's a poet. You know what? Y'all know what he do, but they don't know about your business. So let them know exactly what you do, what you all involved in before I start asking you these wonderful questions, and also where they can actually find you at and all that good stuff before we start it up.
Absolutely. So I'm a licensed financial broker. I use the word broker and put emphasis on it for a reason. So I'm not an agent, direct agent with like a company. I'm not going to mention any companies, but financial companies are a dime a dozen. But I'm contracted with 12 to 15 different companies. So as a broker, I'm able to work with different products. I specialize in life insurance, retirement accounts, and college tuition funds.
Ooh.
Yeah, so.
He's already about to start answering my questions that I'm about to ask.
All right.
Hold on, Eric. All right, so jumping right into it with How I Run Business, I just want to ask, how did you get into this line of work?
That's a great question. So prior to this, I was working in real estate.
Okay.
I was doing wholesaling with a team. There was a team here in Savannah. Was a kind of young guy in his 30s that really taught me a lot about real estate. I was doing acquisitions for him, so I was not a real estate agent, but I was just doing marketing at first. Learned how to cold call,
right,
and got into doing a little bit more of the hands-on work with the sellers in acquisitions.
Yeah.
But somewhere along the way, I kind of decided that I wanted to take on my own business.
Yes.
And so, even though I work for a firm, really it's up to me, when I work and how much I want to work and who I want to sell to and things like that. So, just wanted to get into this field because I had a mentor who kind of convinced me to do it. Somebody that I really respected.
Right.
Somebody who already had his own business, and he was looking to get into this field too. So we kind of just talked about doing it together. I went and got licensed, and then it was about a year and a half ago.
That's a big deal. That is a big deal. So that means you really would have liked it. You had really good interest in doing so.
Yeah.
And you was taught well by, you said, the gentleman that actually helped you, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's still very much a big part of my life, and trying to help him, build out the book of business here in Savannah that we can, have clientele here in Savannah. Eventually, we love to expand to other places. A lot, these days you can work from anywhere and work with anyone who's has a laptop or some type of computer.
Yes.
So we're wanting to definitely expand, and I'll probably at some point start my own firm someday.
It's coming, y'all. So stay tuned.
For sure.
Stay tuned for that. Okay. I love it. So, as you explained already, but for those that didn't catch it, just can you go over briefly again the services that you do provide?
For sure, yeah, I'll just dive in a little more detail. I'll only mention 3 things.
Yes.
A large part of my business is life insurance, particularly living benefits life insurance. Mm-hmm. We can talk about what that means, but the other side of the business is retirement accounts.
Okay.
So
that's important.
There's a lot of different types of those. People have 401ks, so we help people move, old 401ks into a better product.
Okay.
I shouldn't say better product, but an active product. If you move and you're not working at the job you once had,
and
your 401k is not doing anything.
Exactly.
You want to move that into something, right? Yeah. So we do that. I mentioned college tuition planning.
Yes, you did.
Some people just decide to use life insurance policies to store money, and that's a method that you use cash accumulation to store money. And if you write that policy on your child, then the cost for coverage is so low because it's like a 2 or 3 year old and you're paying pennies on the dollar for life insurance, but you can use that as a vehicle to basically save money for their college tuition.
Right.
So we do a lot of that. What else? Indexed annuities. I don't expect you to know anything about that, but it's basically different financial products.
Okay.
We just help
and
people.
a lot of people don't know this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for
so
sure.
This
And
is extremely
I'm a
important
resource.
information.
You know, for sure. I just want to be a resource for people who don't know about this type of stuff.
Right.
So for me, I kind of decided, and that's why I was glad you reached out, because it's like people know all these other things I do, but my day job, what I do by day, is something that not a lot of people know.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Everybody know you for being a comedian, a host, being a poet, and at the same time, you got to get these jewels right here that he's dropping about the finances.
Yeah, so holla at your boy. Yeah.
Right, holla at your boy. For real, for real. And how long have you been doing this, Eric?
2 years.
2 years.
So with the firm I'm with now, a little over like about a year and a half. We started off, and when he and I got licensed, I think he was already licensed. He just renewed his, and I went and had to take my test and get licensed.
Right.
And that was about 2 years ago. And we decided to move to a more, how do I say, a more local structure.
Okay.
So that we can build out a brick and mortar here.
Right.
And their trainings and their lead base and things like that was a lot more helpful than the other one was.
Sweet.
So it's been about a year and a half since I've actually been approaching it as a business. Because prior to that, I just considered myself an agent.
An agent,
right.
Yeah. It's a question that honestly just came to mind. So how do you kind of like, from you feeling like just being an agent to kind of like wanting to get your own firm, like how do you feeling with adjusting or wanting to navigate your way to wanting your own firm in a sense, you know?
Oh, for sure. So, and the reason why I say like right now, I'm working to build my own book of business is because I thoroughly believe if you're going to have a team, everyone wants to have a team,
yes.
right? Everybody wants to
it takes
have
a lot
bunch
to
of
build
people.
one though too.
If you're not able and willing to do whatever that work is yourself first,
right.
then when you have a team, it's not gonna run right.
So
for me, it's like I'm still at a stage now where even though having my own team, having a firm is, it's in my sights.
Right.
I'm still trying to learn and build the building blocks of what I need, the system I need to have in place for my own business, so that I can pass that information on whenever that time comes. So I'm still in that stage.
Okay.
And believe it or not, it's coming along.
You continue to learn as you go.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
You gotta learn as you go. What financial tips or advice can you share with anyone right now?
Get life insurance, simply.
Right, and it is important.
I'm not saying that with a vested interest. I'm saying that from a place of like, I was the same, like, when I first started doing this, I kind of felt very weird about it because it's a very stigmatized profession. Any kind of sales profession, it's like being a car salesman. It's like, that guy is gonna hit me up about this thing again. And I never wanted to be that.
Right, of course.
But then I talked to some very successful, business owners, entrepreneurs, including the guy that I'm still working with. Mm-hmm. And everyone who I talked to who is successful said getting into sales early on, especially when you're an independent salesperson, is like one of the best decisions you can make. So doing that, I started to learn about the products I was selling. And I realized, like, wait a second, this is actually something that people should have.
Right.
And the reason why I say that, to answer your original question, is it's like the quickest and simplest way that you can create generational wealth is through life insurance.
Right.
Everyone wants to own real estate. Everyone wants to pass on businesses and real estate to their kids. Mm-hmm. But if you think about it, if I was to say to you, and behind one door you have a few houses and some businesses that you would either have to take control over or sell, go through probate and all that stuff to be able to even get ownership of it after your parents die. Or door number two is just cash, like liquid, like I'm just gonna give you a check for $1 million.
Yeah.
Which one would you choose?
The first one.
You would choose the first one?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So you would rather go through all the headache of like having to own something?
I don't feel like it's really gonna be a headache because me getting that cash, I just once I get that cash, you have to really make the rational and right decision to make sure that you know you're investing. Do you really own it? You just getting it. I'm not in it for the money. You get what I'm saying? So it's just like I'd rather have what's already been built and learn from that and then invest in that or flip it and have it for my grandchildren. But just to have the money is just like, okay, I don't want to blow it fast. For one.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely don't want to blow it fast.
And that's fair.
But I'd rather go through that. Me personally.
Yeah, and that's a very astute, very wise answer. I don't know but y'all, I want the cash.
I get it.
Because for me, I know like whatever business my parents started, and that's all that stuff is great. Mm-hmm. But if you're looking at like the simpler version of like passing on, like not everyone's going to be able to own a bunch of real estate. Not everyone's going to be able to own a business and build a business. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's like if I know I want to pass something on, and that's a risk to do all that as a parent or as a person who wants to pass on something. I know I'm going to at least first and foremost put something in place that is going to give my kids some cash.
Yeah, true. That's true.
So that way I'm not burdening them, because a lot of times real estate and businesses and things like that, it can be a burden if you don't have the cash.
That's true.
If you're leaving your kids broke and then they have a business and it's like, all right, now I have to sell this business for less than what it's worth because I don't know how to run it. Because my dad was the one running it.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
And that happens. That happens a lot.
What you're saying is definitely like, it's all relevant depending on each person's situation.
Yes.
Some kids are gonna know how to run their parents' business when their parents go. So
if you was taught, you was around the business.
Taught, right, for sure. But if I'm like, for the average person who might not own a business or want to own a business, the best way to pass on wealth to your kids, in my opinion, is through life insurance. And then at the end, you either have the decision at a certain age where you can either cash out if you're using a cash value type of policy, or if it's a term policy, you're ultimately going to use it if you pass away, or you can utilize living benefits. So this is the biggest thing that a lot of people don't know about when it comes to life insurance. These days, it's like the equivalent of the flip phone versus a smartphone, right? Most people think of life insurance as something you only use when you pass away, right? Use a phone back in the 90s, you're either calling somebody, and then in the early 2000s you might send a text with the little 1, 2, 3 thing. Right. But when smartphones came out, there's so much other stuff you can do, right? Yes. So with living benefits life insurance, you're actually able to utilize the policy in the event of a critical illness. Okay. A chronic illness, which is the difference with those is like, so for example, if you have an ailment where you can't perform daily activities, so if you need nursing care, right. Terminal illness, so if you're diagnosed with something where you're going to die in the next year or two. Yes. Some companies also offer critical injury. Oh. So you're getting all these other benefits, so you might even be able to use the policy if you don't die. Right. But generational wealth is about passing on to your kin. So if you pass away, this is a check that's going straight to them within 2 to 3 weeks. Right. And like I said, not to hate on the other forms of generational wealth, but when you have a business, when you have real estate, when you have any of the other things that we typically consider as generational wealth, right? A lot of those things take time. They take stress. Yes. Especially when you're talking about a business that you built. Right. Sometimes your kids might not want to run that business. Sometimes your kids might not know how to run that business. You got that right. And so and with real estate, people like you and myself, people who are, long-term thinkers, we might want to hang on to that real estate, especially if it's rental property. Right. So by no means am I against real estate, but most people, when they have real estate, if you own a house and you pass away, what are your kids gonna do when they pass that house on? You're just gonna sell it. Exactly. Most times they definitely would. Definitely would. Most of the time. Yeah. Sometimes if you're smart, you don't need the money. You might hang on to the house and rent it out. Now you have some income. Your house is gonna appreciate, and that's the thumbs up way to use real estate. But most people are just gonna sell that house. So that house might sit on the market for 6 to 10 months. So would you rather wait 10 months for a check, or would you rather wait 3 weeks for a check?
Let me get that 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Do not wait till someone passes away to really take heed to the information that he's sharing with everyone right now.
Sure, I made that mistake.
Yeah, please don't do that. What he's saying is real information that's needed, and everyone need life insurance. So if you haven't got your life insurance today, make sure that you reach out to Eric Bailey. Please make sure you do so. But I do want to ask you another question. Do you ever even use comedy to lighten up the mood with your clients?
Oh, all the time.
Hold on, but before you answer that question, we'll be back right after this commercial.
Sure.
All right, everyone's always talking about generational wealth. So, generational wealth, you pass on your assets to your kids and your grandkids. But if you're a kid or a grandkid, would you rather A, an asset like a home or a business that you have to figure out what to do with? Oh, am I going to sell it, or am I going to refinance it, or am I going to fix it up? I don't know. Or B, would you rather an asset that's liquid, tax-free cash, baby? Nothing wrong with buildings and businesses and hard assets, but hit me up if you want to pass on some tax-free liquid money.
I think every white dude should go to a black barbershop at least once in their life. White barbers take 5 minutes to cut your hair. Fucking zoos, zoos, zoos. All right, you're done. $45. I've been getting my hair cut at Sports Clips my whole life. I got my hair cut by a black barber a couple of weeks ago, and that was an incredible experience. I was there for like 6 hours. But I was there, but cut my hair. He cut the shit out of it. He was
And we're back now with How I Run Business series with Eric Bailey. Again, the question I asked was, do you ever use comedy to lighten up the mood with helping your clients?
Oh, for sure, absolutely. all the time. All the time.
As you should. As you should. I know the people want to know. I want to know. How do you build your relationships with your clients to even help them through tough situations?
Oh, so for one, you have to show them that you care about them.
Yes.
So that involves not only, sitting with them, and if you're able to, acquire their business, then you have to show them that you're going through the different things. We have a system in place for things like this, but you have to go through various methods of showing them that this is not just a transactional situation.
Right.
So, I always look at everybody I sit with as a potential client as opposed to a potential sale.
Yes.
So if I'm working with somebody and I know their date of birth, obviously, because I needed to apply for coverage, right? I'm gonna write that down, and every year on their birthday, I'm gonna give them a call or a text.
Yes.
Sometimes if they're married, I might even get their anniversary and send them letters on their anniversary.
Sweet.
So
I like that.
I might be the only person that does that, not only in their, with doing business with them, but sometimes I've had people tell me I was the only person that did that at a period. Like no family members, you'd be surprised how many people don't get,
no calls,
don't get a call or a text on their anniversary or on their birthday.
Right.
So from me, that's like,
it's huge,
at first it's like, who the heck is this guy? But after, a couple of times after you build that relationship, that's that guy. I'm the guy to them.
So I must ask, can you describe the most successful strategy you created to improve financial stability?
Ooh, there's a lot of, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
Thank you.
There's a few answers to that. And I think to improve financial stability is a process. There's not much, there's no one thing you can do, obviously, right? There's going to be a lot of different things. I think for a lot of people, protecting them is the biggest way for, a lot of people to end up broke, is having situations happen that are unforeseen.
Right.
And, let's be real, we live in an era where you know, a lot of people don't take care of themselves, you know, so, and it, you know, even if you do, things can still happen.
Yes.
I know people who work out every day, eat right, and then, you know, and might end up with cancer. You just never know. And so what happens with a lot of people who end up suffering from poverty is because they weren't prepared for a situation like that, you know, a health situation or a disability, something happened, and, you know, an accident, and they weren't able to work. So I would say for me, that's like the first way that I help people is by protecting, you know, putting protection in place for them, so that if something happens to them, their family's covered, they're covered, you know, with the living benefits like we talked about. But also if something happens to them and they pass away, you know, the family's not going to end up, you know, having them sell their house, or having them, you know,
oh my gosh,
you know, mother having to work 2 jobs or 3 jobs just to live. So protection is one way. On the other side of things, I think people don't save enough for their later years in retirement. You know, Social Security is going to probably go away soon, right?
I do agree with that. I do believe that too. For
sure. So, and, you know, people have different setups with their jobs, whether it be a 401k or an IRA.
Right.
Sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes, you know, it gets taxed so hard that when you are 65, you end up getting less than what you think you're getting. Yeah. And, you know, if you live to be 85, 90 years old, like we all hope we will, you know, and most of us, because of the, you know, improvement in health knowledge, most of us are going to live to be older than our parents. Yes. So, you know, if you live to be 85, 90 years old, a lot of that money's going to run out, you know. So saving for retirement is a big way that I feel like I help people with financial stability as well.
How do you stand out amongst other financial groups?
So one of the things we really try to do is we try to make the flavor of what we are presenting to the world a little bit more modern. I think a lot of people, you know, consider financial groups and financial services to be like an old person's game. Right. And yeah, just being real. It's funny that you say that. Right. But that, most of us, you think of, you know, like Morgan Stanley or something like that. You think of a dude that's like older, sitting, you know, on his like big desk chair and he's got the stock screens or whatever. But we're all, you know, young professionals. Even the owner of the firm is a younger guy. He's a much more hip guy. Yeah, for sure. And I'm really close with him and his family, and they're hilarious. Like we all, you know, go out on the boat together sometimes, and we just have a blast together. And he, you know, is really trying to create a feel that is more relatable to everybody. You know, like we want to serve older people and relate to them, but we also want to make this a little bit more receptive to younger people. Yes, who that's may not understand much about how they can save and how much, you know, they can have access to certain monies and things like that. Right. When they buy a life insurance policy, you know, there's a lot of different things that I didn't know. Then once I started learning, I was like, wait, this actually makes a lot of sense.
You know, this is How I Run Business series, so I do want to know, even though you are working for a brand, working for a firm, how would Eric Bailey's financial group run? How would you run your business?
How would I run it?
Yes. How would you run your business?
I'm gonna run it like it's a dictatorship. This is not. I'm gonna be bossing. No, I'm just kidding. Bossing people around and firing people every other day. That's how I want to run my business. Right. Nah. No. So no, it's all right. No. So you're playing too much. Not at all. So I really want my business to be. I kind of want it to be an extension of my family at some point. Yes. You know, I really want anybody that I bring into my business to be. Obviously, there's layers. You know, right? It is. You gotta compartmentalize, right? You gotta have different things that you do give access to people in some ways. But I want to have relationships with people that I work with, because I feel like that's, you know, that's where you really become successful, is by having good relationships with the people you do business with. Nah, but seriously. Listen, here go the comedian side coming on out. But I will get fired. You definitely will. Not afraid.
But with me asking that question on how he run business, I just want to be able to give you now my token of love and appreciation for you taking the time out and allowing me to interview you by giving you your very own trophy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yo, that's lit. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. And this is How I Run Business series. Again, until next time.